My name is Tanner Rouse. I'm the First Assistant District Attorney. And we are here today for two reasons. I'm joined by Police Chief Henry Gianmarco of Yeadon Borough, Police Chief Brandon Gray from Marple Township, Superintendent Tim Bernhardt from Upper Darby Township, Superintendent Chris Flanagan from Radnor Township, Police Chief Dave Splain from Nether Providence Township, and Police Chief Stephen Gretzky from Chester City. We want to deliver two messages to everybody here today. The first is that your law enforcement in Delaware County has been working continuously, and they have been working collectively to ensure that we're going to have a safe election day and a secure election process. We are going to be prepared for every imaginable contingency, and we are going to be collaborating throughout that day to ensure that no disturbances go on and that everyone has a right to vote and is able to cast their vote on election day. To that end, we have a hotline set up. The District Attorney's Office will be manning this all day long, from 6 a.m. until it is safe to go home. We will be there waiting to take your calls and to coordinate with law enforcement around the county should any issues arise. That number is 610-891-4242. Again, 610-891-4242. As I said, personnel from the District Attorney's Office will be manning that line all day long from 6 a.m. until well after polls close, so that if there are any issues that arise, we will be able to coordinate the appropriate law enforcement response. However, the second thing I want to make clear is that I am confident that that will not be necessary. And I want to remind everyone in Delaware County of who we are. This is a very diverse county. It's a strength of ours. We have a long and proud history of respecting each other's diversity, of respecting and admiring the differences between us. The people you are going to be with on election day at the polls are the same people that you see at Sunday at church. They are the same people you line up with at the Little League Snack Shack, and they are the same people you see at the swim club during the summer. No one, no president, no vice president, and no former president can tell you or dictate to you how to treat your neighbors. That's a choice you make. That's a choice we all make on election day and every other day. I want to point out the men up here beside me that I work with every day. I don't know how they vote. I'd venture to guess that at least some of them, if not all of them, vote differently than I do. But they got my back and I got theirs. That's how we do things in law enforcement. That's how we do things in Delaware County. I have no reason to believe that this election day is going to be any different than it was in 2020 or any different than it is on every other day. And I look forward to having a very boring day on Tuesday. But please know that when and if needed, your law enforcement is ready, willing, and able, and we have made extensive preparations to ensure the safety and security of this election. Can I answer any questions?
Have you had any sense, any concern, any threat, anything online that would threaten the safety and security of elections in the county?
Jeff, I appreciate you asking. We've been in numerous meetings. I've been in meetings with federal agencies. I've been in meetings among all of these guys. There is nothing articulable that suggests that anything particularly problematic is coming. There is the usual kind of chatter about people disgruntled about this or that, but there is nothing to suggest we are going to have any greater problems than we do on any other day.
When you say the usual chatter, what does that mean?
Alex, people on Facebook saying, oh, the election is stolen, this person, we're voter intimidation, et cetera, et cetera. Nothing specific, nothing more than people complaining about the other side on social media, as we all know they are wont to do at this point.
Can you give just the voters, your constituents, just an idea of what happens when they call that number? Like,
sure.
How many people are there at the ready? What happens if they have a video of something?
Absolutely. So let me be clear. There are hundreds of people at the ready, not at the end of that phone line, but out throughout the county, more importantly than being on that phone line. When they call that number, odds are they're going to talk to me. And I'm going to ask them, what's going on? Explain to me what you're seeing. If it is a problem that we can solve without police interference or without police presence, that's going to be our first goal. We don't want anybody to get arrested. We don't want any police disruptions of the electoral process on Election Day. So if we can do that, I'm going to direct them to election protection from either the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, depending on who they want to talk to. I'll have those numbers handy, and I've already been in communication with both parties. If, however, it is a problem that is escalating past that point, ideally I've already been in touch with the parties who are letting me know that, and I will immediately be in touch with local law enforcement and ask them to be responding as necessary.
Could you talk about the incident that happened here at the courthouse on Monday with the Trump supporter being let out? And does that have anything to do with this press conference being held today?
No, this press conference has been planned for several weeks, in fact.
And what happened on Monday?
We are still gathering all the facts. The bottom line is, again, it's an open investigation at this time. We're looking into it, and that's as best I can give you in terms of the facts right now.
And since there's not a lot you can talk about it, since it's ongoing, what would you say to those that maybe feel that doubt grows stronger when they don't have the answers immediately?
Sure. So what I would say is this. What you want with any investigation, what any citizen should want with any investigation, is that the process is thorough and the process is complete. I don't want to jump to any conclusions right now. What I will say is this. At most, what we are talking about, and part of the reason why this is taking a couple of days, is a summary citation for disorderly conduct. We are not talking about any sort of felonies, any sort of serious crime. We're talking about summary citations. Given the nature of that, given that no one has been placed under arrest, given that no charges are immediately pending, given that no one has been cited, given that no bail has been set, given that we have other priorities that supersede a summary offense, we're taking our time. We will get there. So to those that are concerned, please understand this is the process that you want. You want us prioritizing the more serious things that are going on. And that's just where we're at right now.
Are you watching what's happening in the other counties today? The Trump campaign has filed a lawsuit against Bucks County and Lancaster County, which isn't a collar county, but not too far away.
Sure.
There's a criminal investigation right now going on into a number of ballots that were flagged.
Yeah.
So do you watch what's going on there?
Of course.
Does that change your approach to anything?
So, yes, we watch. We're always aware, and we want to be sure that if something is going on and we're seeing trends anywhere, we are vigilant to be responsive in our own way. No, it doesn't change anything. We have to conduct our own investigation to things that are going on in Delaware County. I can tell you I get daily emails from people placing any number of complaints that completely run the gamut from someone gave me a mean look when I went to cast a mail-in ballot to, oh my God, there's this horrible thing going on that needs investigating. We take all of them seriously. We look into every single thing that comes across our plate. Anything that merits an investigation in any way, we run it down every single time. Detectives from CID are responsive to each and every one of those. So yes, we are absolutely aware of what's going on in those collar counties. Yes, we are always vigilant about that. That it exists in a collar county, though, doesn't change our stance. Whether or not it's there, we are nevertheless going to investigate everything.
Just to be clear, though, nothing like what's happening in Lancaster, for instance, has been reported here in
No.
Delaware County.
No.
How many polling places are you going to have to cover in the county? I mean, how far does it stretch for you?
Each and every one, Jeff.
Yeah, you don't know what that number is.
I believe it's over 400. I want to say I don't. That's a Board of Elections question off the top of my head. I don't know. However, look, we're the District Attorney's Office. We're law enforcement in Delaware County. We're responsible for everything that happens in this county on that day and every day.
But you won't have law enforcement at every polling place, right?
No,
You
no.
have access for them to come.
And so I should clarify that. It would actually be illegal for the police to be standing there staking out every polling place. That is against electoral law. They are only to reply or respond in specific instances, and that is what we have all coordinated, when that is appropriate, how we will handle that. So no, we are not staking out every single one. With that said, it's no different than any other day. These guys are responsible for the township that they supervise, and when there's an issue in their township, they will respond. It's up to all of us to kind of coordinate the appropriate level of response and to make sure that we're in the know as fast as possible so the election is uninterrupted. But in terms of who's responsible for what, it's just like every other day.
One other thing. I mean, it's really not in your purview, or is it, if there's a balloting dispute?
So
right?
that's a great question.
Not you, right?
No, it is not. Where there are challenges to a ballot, right? Go back to Bush v. Gore, something of that nature. That's a Board of Elections question. And what I've covered with these guys is, again, pursuant to the law, we want to have as little police involvement on Election Day as possible. That's one of the reasons the calls come into me. And if I can, like I said earlier, we're going to send that out to Election Protection to deal with anything that is electoral specific. It's where you have someone behaving in a way that rises to criminal, that we need to get involved so that we can make sure that that election goes smoothly. So there is a distinction there, and it's one that we absolutely observe.
You said that you're expecting Tuesday to be like any other day, and yet here we are. Is there something in the climate? Is there a reason why we need to have these conversations?
I think we need to have these conversations, unfortunately, because that's the world we live in at this juncture. No, nothing specific, nothing that comes to mind, and I'm very hopeful that this is going to be exactly like it was in 2020, where we had one summary arrest made all day for a guy kind of driving his truck around. It wasn't even really related to the election. Am I confident? Do I believe it? Absolutely, I do. Do I think we need to have these conversations? Unfortunately, yeah, I do. And I just want to remind everybody, again, like I said, of who we are and the way we conduct ourselves here. We're better than this.
What are the consequences if somebody tries to disrupt the election?
That can range. I mean, you can try to disrupt the election with a bomb. You can try to disrupt the election by yelling loudly. It just depends. It's going to be case specific, and it's going to be, the charges will be filed appropriately.
Last question. Lots of people are licensed to carry in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
You can't haul your gun up to the polling place, right? Or
Well, in certain instances, Jeff, you can. Individual polling places have individual rules, and while it'd be my preference if everyone left their firearms at home for the safety and comfort of everyone, as you point out, people do have certain rights, and they are allowed to exercise those rights, again, subject to that polling place saying not in here.
do some polling places allow someone to walk in carrying a sidearm?
Yeah, my understanding is yes.
Some do.
Yes. So when you have a school or something that has a clear standing prohibition on that, yeah. But there are over 400 polling places in this, and some of them are literally in people's garage. So it's not a question of do they explicitly allow it, it's that they don't explicitly disallow it that enables that.
So can the polling judge, I forget what your term is, the person in charge of the polling location? but-
My term, the judge of election, yeah.
Whatever
No, yeah.
Can they just go up to somebody who's carrying and just say, you're not allowed to bring that in?
They can, if again, provided that is a place where that law or that rule has been established, then yes.
Does anybody in law enforcement here know of a polling place in your constituency where they allow a gun to be carried in? Anybody?
Most of ours are in schools. Yeah, ours are all in schools as well.
Yeah.
This might be a better question for the Bureau of Elections, but one other reporter wanted me to ask this. Can you talk about the confusion of early voting versus vote by mail and how Pennsylvania doesn't technically have early voting?
So I am going to refer that to the Board of Elections. I understand the nature of the question, but at the same time, I'm going to refer that to the experts.
Very good.
Right?
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate it. Very good.
Hold on.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Here.
I can tell you right now, this will be no good for Thursday. Thanks, man.
That's it, man.
You guys are right at once,
It's gonna look like I'm
terrified. I'm sweating.
Oh my God. We don't necessarily have the staff to